To today's update. In today's update, we'll be discussing what's going on in the front lines of Ukraine and also talk about some things Ukraine must learn from Russia's tactics and also some other interesting news. So let's first start at the Orozhana area. As you can see, the Russians had captured all this. According to some mappers, these fields and these farms are still in the gray zone because we actually only have location over here in this area, geolocated footage over here. The Russians did try assault over here earlier, actually yesterday, and it failed. It was in my previous video, I talked about it. The Russians are also attacking Hororivka from this area here to capture here and to then be able to attack the Ukrainians not only from this area but then a complete push. As you guys may remember, the Ukrainians did manage to recapture Novolske. Sorry if I butchered that name. So this is actually very important for the Ukrainians and kind of bad for the Russians because the Russians were relying on this settlement to push over here and to gain probably footholds in this town as well, but also right now in the main battle going on here. The Russians did make slight gains over here. This is a very difficult place to actually fight in because if I'm not mistaken, all this stuff right here, the black stuff, is the water. So that's going to be pretty difficult to move through, but the Russians obviously can do it. They are doing it. However, we're going to have to wait and see how this battle progresses. Now moving on to our second last update, the Russians captured the second last Ukrainian fortification, stopping them from this town. I'm not even going to try and pronounce its name. And if they capture this fortification afterwards, then they can attack the town from the side and the front. And that seems like what Russia's tactics are, at least right now, attacking from 2-3 areas instead of just one area to stretch their opponent. Also, the Russians did do an attack over here, gained a tiny bit of ground, but this is not that significant on the whole scale compared to what we're seeing in Donetsk and Orozhana. Now moving on to this map real quick, and the reason why I'm moving on to this map because this map has geolocations for us. There's a video I want to show you guys. First, let's look at this video of the Klashivka Russian attack. This is the first time I'm seeing this video as well. Oh, we got the turtle tanks, guys. We got the turtle tanks. That is literally playing very well into I want to talk about what Ukraine must learn from Russia. We got the turtle tanks moving in. I don't know who posted this footage yet. If the Russians win, it was likely the Russians. If they get destroyed, it was likely the Ukrainians who posted this footage. That thing seems to have stepped on something. I rolled over a mine. Yeah, that turtle tank's destroyed, man. Turtle tank's toasted, dude. Okay. And the other turtle tank seems to have gotten hit by something, but it seems pretty good. So those were the Ukrainians, okay? So that Russian attack failed. However, I want to show this video, and it was actually from later yesterday, and it's a video of the Russian turtle tank. And when it first came, a lot of people were mocking it, and without good reason. But this is the video of the turtle tank. This looks like an absolute beast. It's a nightmare for any drone operator because it's very hard to penetrate. Obviously, 2-3 drones will end up knocking this thing out or hitting it. However, the Ukrainians, you would be using 3 times the amount of drones just to penetrate this armor than they would just to hit the normal tank. As you can see, it also has mine clearing equipment. This is something I believe the Ukrainians could learn from the Russians, and that is these turtle tanks. And obviously, we just saw one get blown up. They're not invincible. They're actually a very cheap way of solving the drone problem, but it is something that Ukraine should look into if they are planning any offenses with tanks, with armored vehicles. I believe Ukraine should look into that. Look into getting those turtle tanks and making their own turtle tanks. Obviously, we saw the Ukrainians got the cope cages too after a couple of months in their counteroffensive, and then they may have had some before, but they really started using it in mass when they were lastly storming Robotine, and now I think Ukraine should also copy Russia with this. If your enemy's doing something and it's small and it's working, you should copy them and make it better. Do your best to. Also, this map shows French Legion. According to some reports by very pro-Russian media, France has deployed some elements of the Foreign Legion into Ukraine. They're already in Ukraine. This mapper, no, like not the military blogger himself, but he tends to get a lot of his news from Russian Telegram channels, which a lot of times are unreliable. So I'm not going to say 100% French troops are in Ukraine because these are Russian Telegram channels. We don't know, but we do know that British SAS, U.S. Special Forces, Polish Special Forces were helping the Ukrainians in intelligence, literally boots on the ground during the Battle of Kyiv. So there's a lot that we don't know about what's going on. I'm not saying there's no Western forces in Ukraine, because obviously at least there were Western forces in Ukraine at some time during the full-scale invasion of 2022. However, to say like the French are putting their whole Foreign Legion into this without any like solid proof, and the Russians can say, oh, we struck this building and there was French soldiers in there, but without any solid evidence, I'm not going to just say that has happened. Last but not least, the the French have said that they can deploy 5,000 to 6,000 troops to help with the Ukrainian logistics. However, this number, when on the massive scale of these battles, really does little for Ukraine. With logistics, it could help. Also, if you put if these soldiers were aircraft pilots and they knew how to fly F-16s, it could allow Ukraine to be able to operate F-16s at a much quicker pace, have more F-16s in the sky. But just 6,000, 5,000 men are not going to change the tide of any battle. I don't care if they're 6,000 Navy SEALs, are not going to change the tide of a war. So, especially this one with high losses. So, anyway, guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.